Good day, folks. Got a little radio here I wanted to make you a short little video about. It's a Cobra 29. Had some mods done to it. Won't get very deep into that subject. But the main reason for the video, let me back up. I put a post on the group last night that a couple of folks didn't seem to really appreciate. They seem to have the idea that these videos that I make and these pictures that I post are in an attempt to make myself look like some kind of a super tech or something of that nature. And let me assure you people, that is the farthest thing from the truth there is. I do these videos and these pictures of work, of radios that I get in from people that have been to other shops, somebody's basement, out behind the woodshed, wherever the case may be. But I do it primarily to try to help people not be taken advantage of. This gentleman, I don't know if he bought the radio. I don't know if the radio was given to him. I don't know what the circumstances were. But nevertheless, he ended up with the radio. It was sent to him by supposedly a reputable person. I'll just leave it at that. I won't say tech. I won't say radio doctor. I won't say shop. I won't say any of that. Just it was sent to him by supposedly a reputable person, and he used it for a little while. He got good reports, talking skip, long distance, and all of his local contacts, he said, would fuss at him when he talked on it locally. Said it didn't sound good. Couldn't hardly understand him, that kind of thing. So, turns out the radio quit working. He had done business with me before, in the past. Sent it to me. Well, to be honest with you, he first asked me would I check it out, and if I would mind if he sent it to me. And I said, no, sure, go ahead, send it on out. I'll take a look at it, see if I can help you out. So here it is. Now, again, going back to the reputable person, when I opened it up, I will not say that I found several things wrong. I will, however, say that I found several things that personally I don't like. And I'll go over 2 or 3 of those here. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on, it does have, let me get a different pointer. That brush is probably not going to be my best pointer option. It does have a MOSFET final upgrade, which is cool. I got no problem with that. No problem at all, as long as it's done correctly. This one was done about halfway correctly. The solder work, which I have partly cleaned up already. I've got the solder removed from these, and I added some solder back to them so that I could then vacuum it off again to help clean up, some of the bad stuff there. But I'm going to go through the process here of kind of doing just a little bit of scrubbing and cleaning. And this is nothing but isopropyl alcohol. Put a little dab of that on there, and take my little brush and just get in here and just kind of scrub and clean. And that helps to loosen up any solder splatter that might be between the two connections in this area here. Helps to eliminate any of that. It also helps to remove all the old flux and rosin that's left behind. And it's just, you know, it just generally cleans it up good. The good thing about the isopropyl alcohol is it evaporates fairly quick. So, you know, you don't have anything left behind to cause you any problems. Let me see if I can find my best used paper towel. Get in here and kind of dab this out a little bit. Get some of that excess out of there. One of the things that I see here, and yes, the power is off the radio. It's unplugged completely. Get a little bit of paper towel fuzz there that just does not want to come loose. One of the things that I saw that I didn't really like is the legs on the final, to me, were left too long. So I'm going to trim those, get those down to an acceptable length so that when they are, here, screwdriver, where did you go? Oh, here it is. So that when they're bent back over, number one, they don't interfere. See if I get this where you guys can see. There's the leg of another component comes through right here. And you don't want this final leg getting up here and laying down on top of that, or, you know, whatever. When you bend them back over, they don't interfere with any of the other component legs. They're long enough to reach your solder pad without any problem. And you can solder them back in and hopefully make everything nice and neat. Okay, now here comes the part to where some of you guys are going to fuss at me. My soldering iron tip is big, and it's the angle type in. But that's what I've got used to using. That's what I like. That's what works good for me. So that's what I use. Now you guys out there, use what you like and what works for you. And like I say, this is just what works for me. And there's one right here that I also cleaned. I'm gonna go ahead and retouch it, get it back in good shape. You want your solder to flow underneath, all around, and over the top of. I'm going to eventually pull that one loose too, because it's too long. I just now noticed that. But anyway, see if I can get this. Now I'll go back and clean that again with alcohol. Come on, focus, you can do it. There you go. I'll go back and clean that again with alcohol before I finish up to make sure it's a good clean connection. But here is another thing that I found in this radio that I absolutely, positively do not like. And any of you guys that know me, I think already know this. That is just exactly the way I pulled it out of this radio. That is D11, I believe it is, the modulation limiter in this radio. And rather, well, number one, it should not have been disabled to begin with. Number two, if you were going to disable it, one of the legs should have been desoldered and pulled up out of the board, and the complete diode left intact, connected to the board by one leg, with the other one being lifted and just, you know, kind of up in the air, or totally removed. Somebody has taken a pair of cutters, probably similar to these, and just reached in the radio and got the glass part of it and went snip and busted it. I'm sorry, guys, but number one, I don't approve of limiters being disabled or eliminated. Number two, if you're going to and you're too lazy to do it correctly, then you don't need to be fooling with the radio to begin with. I apologize if that offends anybody, but that's just the way I feel about it. Okay, on the other side, I want to talk about this for just a minute. Whoever did this radio, and I think I know, but I'm not going to say, whoever did this radio, removed the tuning slug right here. I don't know if they thought they were going to get more watts. I don't know if it made it look better on their precisely calibrated meter. I don't know what the deal was, but this is a no-no. This little guy right here, the short, simple version of it, a lot of folks think this is adjustment for SWR. Not totally wrong, but not totally correct either. It mainly has to do with the harmonics of the radio. In other words, you see YouTube videos of people with a radio on a spectrum analyzer. You'll see the one big tall peak, which is the frequency that the radio is set to, channel 15, 27135, for example. And then off on both sides of that tall peak, you'll see smaller, shorter peaks, like stair steps going out. The more of them you see going out to the side, and the further out to the side they go, basically, in simple terms, the more splatter you've got across different channels. This has so much to do with that it's not even funny. This should never ever be touched unless you have the proper equipment to tune it correctly with and know how to use the equipment. In this case, it wasn't just touched, it was removed completely and discarded. Big no-no. Moving over here next to the final, this is the MOSFET. It's the 2030 MOSFET. In front of it, the jumper's been removed, a capacitor put in its place, a resistor on the bottom side to adjust your dead key watts. Not the best practice in the world, but it's certainly not the worst. They do work, they do help. I do install them when customers request them. I'm kind of 50-50 on this. I won't say it's horrible, I won't say it's great. It's kind of middle of the road. This slug in this one, that's part of the MOSFET upgrade as far as instructions that you find on the internet. Replace the stock final with a MOSFET final. Add this companion component back here, and it plainly says, in most cases, most instructions I've seen, says remove the slug from L14, I believe it is, and discard. Okay, that's all well and good. It will increase your dead key watts and your swing watts by doing this, but it's not the correct way. And I don't know if I can get this where you can see it or not, guys. These coils around here, it's just a piece of copper wire wound around this housing. This one has 5 rings or 5 turns on the front. If you'll go to the trouble, again, it takes a few minutes to do, if you'll go to the trouble to pull this out of the board, take it completely out, basically unwind or remove one turn one complete turn off of these coils here, and bend it back and fashion it so that it can go back in the hole that it came out of, and put it back in. Keep the slug in it. You then have enough tuning range that you can tune your radio with a MOSFET the way you want it, with a slug left in it. Then of course you move over here. I think I'm in the right position here. The new limiter that I installed, put back in it. I try my very best to not let a radio leave my shop with a limiter disabled. If they're missing when it comes in, I replace them. If they're cut when it comes in, I replace them. If they're desoldered and pull one leg pulled up, I put it back, check it to make sure it's working, and put it back in place. Because when you disable this, then your modulation adjustment here has no function. It does not work. It bypasses this, and there's no way to adjust modulation to get the radio to sound its best possible, get it to sound as best it possibly can. But anyway, I'll probably make another video on this little radio when it's finished. I said I wasn't going to do this anymore, but on this one I just couldn't pass it up. I'm sorry. But anyway, you guys have a good one. Hope some of you get something out of this, and I'll catch you guys later. Be the old Red Eagle. We out of here.